Hello and welcome. Today is that of the 7th day of June 2020. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades, and of the like, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. And in taking a look at the Bitcoin chart against the US dollar, let's take a look at the story of such daily term time frame and year to date as far as how much we got. Started the year off with a rally, as we can see here, going from 7,000 up to a little over 10. And then it fell from 10,000, and this was the big day here, which was a representation of the C-19 incident and the start of the shutdown, and that was the Rudy Gobert lows, as I would like to call it. But that was the day of the lows, and it retested it this day here, but came down to what was the low in here? 37.82. Oh, it was a day after, but technically it was this day on the New York time frame because it happened hours after the close of this day. At least that's where the low is. But anyway, since the low came in, it has been higher highs and higher lows. And as it plays through, we can see that this low in here, this low, we got this high, which has been a 3 times hit test. Yeah, this is marginally above, pretty much the same. And it does look to me on the short answer, or the long story short, is we will have a 3 times test down. And I even like to say down towards 8,100. We'll get to those numbers in just a little bit. And as far as the reason why, well, let's take a look at this on a shorter term time frame. And yeah, we're referencing, and actually I think the 3 hour will do justice better. So therefore, we had this rally on this first day of June, and after a few periods of sideways consolidation, a okay period of a day, a instant rejection. But within the rejection, the price action was able to attempt to make this move and have retracement within this high and this low. Ultimately not succeeding, as it came down in this correctionary band and resisting the 18 highs, not getting above it, thus just recently this period here, now breaking below this level of support below the 18 average of lows. So showing us, is this the failed breakout and fast move lower, which you wouldn't expect the fast move to come down to this previous level, but at least test somewhere into this, and more likely on the short-term basis come down here towards this 87 area. And I say that on the short term as, again, we look at this daily chart. Actually, that's not where I wanted to look. Let's take a look at this on the hourly. We are having a lot of tests within what this original support was. So the move that came up has been not making a higher low to here, thus it didn't have any of the must hold area. And when we process this within Fibonacci, what I can do is I can take the high and the low and the levels that I've already calculated, bring us a 76.4 at 8,179. So therefore, if we put a line in at that mark, let's do it from, I guess from here. And just want to change the settings number. Why is it not coming up? Oh, okay. I mean, it's pretty much close enough, but I don't know why my settings aren't coming up. Anyway, 81.79 is that number. And breaking down below 81.79, we have the next level in at 7,050. So 8,100 even and 7,000 even would be the easiest ways maybe to remember such. We can see already that from this high, we've already managed to come down once to this 81 level, and pretty much an exact hit and a barely level of Pierce Extra with the 8,117 lows. And overall, that's the trend wise, there's been the uptrend it's really got to break down below this low for me to consider this to be any type of downtrend on anything more than just short-term scenarios. For what it would be doing is developing that of a sideways consolidation, thus neutrality range. And the support of such, we'd be looking at 8,100 and the resistance here at around pretty much a hair below 10,000 or around the 10,000 barrier. It does look like that failed move, but until it breaks down these higher lows, we got this one. I mean, this can break down and come down like 9,000 even. 9,000 even, and thus create a higher low, and then maybe it lifts off from there, but it's obviously got to get past that level of resistance. It still has a very nice look as far as the situation is on the weekly time frame. It is still showing strength amongst the 18 average of highs, or showing a lot of support there. If there is correctionary moves, that's when that can create inverted head and shoulder pattern. For we can make the move from the October low highs to the November lows, back up to the February highs as the left shoulder, and then the C19 Rudy Gobert lows creating the head, and then finishing it off just recently down to this level of resistance that if we do get a retracement maybe to a 38.2% correction at 7,000, then that might just create that other right shoulder, coincide with a pierce below the 18 average of lows on the weekly. And as far as the monthly chart, I guess I can bring this back to the Bitstamp data. And as we can see within this, it's been consolidating, and one of those wait and sees. We're at the upper end of this 18 average, which is, well, of course, 97. 18 average of lows coming in at 66, 67. So it's still got to break anything below that to even attempt to get past this into really breaking, as I mentioned, the neutrality range. It's pretty much the same thing here. So the story, you have the up move, and then you have your correctionary play. This is your attempt to break the market down or to either neutral or bearish, so support established. So now as it's going in here, it's in retracement mode from this high to this low. And it does very well because it continues, gets past 61.8% in this general area here. And then it goes to previous high. It breaks it. So it goes from retracement mode into already in bullish territory from the 18 average. But the story goes to uncharted territories, new highs, ATH, and a huge rate of ascent and such. And now, of course, it's correcting it. This was a deeper correction. That's also an attempt to revert the trend to negative and also establish a support level for the neutrality. And thus, it has only stayed in this correctionary mode throughout this entire time. And thus, it has spent a significant amount. So we can look at this in two ways. We can look at this as retracement from this low to this high and the neutrality part. And when you're in the 18 average, breaking the lows, well, you go to previous low. And breaking the highs, you go to previous high. So therefore, obviously, this is the low, this is the high, and it hasn't yet gotten above it. But getting out above this would be just that. And then resumption of a bull market, pretty much as this was resumption in here, would be the same thing, getting clearly above the previous highs at 20,000. Switching over now to some altcoins against the dollar, and these will be a lot more quicker than Bitcoin. But the story with Ethereum against such, we're at 237. It was at the lows of $7 when we started 2017, and has a quick run up on the short-term time frame to 54 with a little bit of correction. And it continued another short-term run, thus an intermediate run, up to $300, close to 400. Short-term correction to the 18 lows at 150. And the all-time highs are in at 1182. We can see we've had twice hit support at around $90. And the level of its current resistance is that of about 285. And each time, twice hit. And it's kind of attempting a third X hit here, showing a nice little pattern amongst the 18 average highs, as we can see on the weekly. It gets up there. It's been holding and staying within it quite well. And the difference, one of the differences within Bitcoin here is if it breaks through this level of resistance, which is a comparison of like the 10,000 or so for Bitcoin, then it's got a long ways to go from point break previous high of the shorter term to all-time high. Compare the Bitcoin's exact same situation. And that's just been the case with a lot of the altcoins, just underperforming Bitcoin pretty much since that time frame. I know this is just calculated by the US dollar, but it gives you the good idea that, meaning a better chart if I'm just going to put it in anyway, the Ethereum versus Tether. Just to get a better looking chart. Pretty much looks the same anyway. But holding in there through time a little bit. What I'm seeing here, short term, we see a little bit of lower highs, a downtrend line. We also see how any of this, yes, I'm more concerned possibly about a little bit of decline. Is there anything here to state? Well, we can see that these levels of support got violated and a very clear break below the 18 average. So now this level of support area of about 237 through that of 240 change is something that would be a very probable level of resistance if it's able to get up to it, making moves on there. Not a surprise to see it put a high in there and then eventually later give in, because it does look as if maybe we'll be attempting some pullbacks. Now, if you're looking for more in-depth analysis of coins, really that I'm not showing that you're interested in, it has stated to me on YouTube that I can do a premium content, and that's something I've always thought, if it's ever available to me where I could easily do it, it's something I would consider, and it looks like it is. It tells me that I'm able to do it, although when I look at it, it says I must have 30,000 subscribers, and and I got like 11 or I got like 12, 13,000, so I'm not even close. But it says I can do it as well. Also says if I'm a gaming channel, which, I mean, this to me is a game. This is a game. And I don't know what I thought I put it way back in as an education learning channel way back in 2007 or 8. So I don't know if it'll work if I try, but if there's any interest in it, then maybe I can go over more in-depth analysis and questions and different things like that as a possibility. Still not sure yet. Anyway, as we move on, let's take a quick look at LITECOIN, which on its lows in 2017, $3 and change up to about 300. We've had a twice hit level at about 25, and we very easily could be hitting it again, and we might not. I mean, all I've seen is that we've had twice hit level. It's come up to the 18 average of lows, and it's pretty much been doing nothing over the previous month and into this month. We're only in the first week, but if we start to see some weakness, maybe going below 34 and change, then maybe that give you some concern that we're going to 25 area. And when we look at this on a daily chart, not as quite as strong as Ethereum, but very, very neutral for the most part. It's managed to increase this high from where we stand now, which is at 45, the high from March the 20th and into the start of April. And the support that it's had down near 40 hasn't tested in a while, and that would be the next short-term area if it's to go there. Next up is Monero, and these lines I put in a long time ago. Don't even remember when. And on the same time frame, haven't looked at this chart, haven't expanded it yet, but it's also doing better than LITECOIN, and it's doing better than a lot of other ones, but big volatility here going from 30 to 65, which is pretty interesting, at least for on the Monero side, but a lot of the same sort of patterns, a lot of it looking the same, well above the 2017 lows, and then breaking out above. Now I'm going to show Theta, then I'm going to show something that I think is getting their ass kicked, which is Verge. Haven't looked at Verge. I have a very good idea what we're getting on within this one in here. Let's take a look at it, the calculation one. The reason I get more data for this, because when the exchange came in. Now, the big thing on the Theta point of view is the big rally that it's had. Is it able to hold its move? It's doing so before all the other stuff has been really breaking out. It's gotten above all of these highs. And this little general area of resistance, we can see up to like 19 cents. We'll call it the even 20 number. And in this congestion area here, it's about 10 cents. Heck, 10 cents, you might think, oh my, 11, that sounds like it's a big decline. And Well, if it does happen, then that would be a higher low to this low, if of course that's where it bottoms. But yeah, the important thing is holding this previous resistance area as support if there's going to be any correctionary moves, and it came down a little bit from this high at about 58 or close to 60 cents, and this could be where it supports. We got a calculated low here at 22 and change. The previous high in here, what do we got? We got 20, so it technically, I guess this came back to where the Binance opened. We have 30 cents in here, so it was before the event was happening, rallying up to this point, so it has came back to this area of where it's came from at least. So anyway, moving on next to Verge, and the reason why I want to bring Verge up is because I know it's been rallying a little bit lately, I think, but it's gotten its ass kicked so much, it's not going to look anywhere near as good as even all the altcoins, I think. So let's just go ahead and take a look at it. So on the weekly chart, it's had a very significant decline from 26 cents. Now at a nickel, was down as low as 1.5 cents. Has managed to show the possibility of a failed breakdown, which we can put in this line in here. And that would be, of course, the move right in here. It's only managed to come back to this previous high. So it's regained the neutrality status, breaking this level of resistance. I'd be looking next at about 1.2 cents, 1.1 change, 118 handle. And I guess it is doing the same thing here. I mean, just the wild, wild moves going from 4 zeros, 2689, up to no zeros, 26. Pretty much the same thing. Wow. Volatility, if this thing breaks it and you feel some of this empty space, so you have what's the story in here. And well, in here, it was trading at like, I think it was like 1-2 Satoshi on the Bitcoin price. It was pretty much a nothing price and doesn't have any potential. Well, there it has this big spark, corrects it more short term, a little bit of a short term rally again, and then same thing, ST, short term resistance was now support, that the final leg higher on the run up, and a big one and a quick one at that. But since then, it has been nothing more than this downtrend. But the downtrend, if you draw a line like this, I'm pretty much going sideways like this because of the neutrality and the very more short term. Same thing as I go down in here, as I would draw resistance, and now starting to go sideways. So this move is sideways, this market. If it breaks the sideways range, then maybe it can fill in some of this retracement mode, empty space and such. If not, this move has came back to this level of congestion in here. I'd be looking to fill maybe some sort of higher low to this or something, or maybe go to nothing, because a lot of these altcoins that are out, I don't think are going to make it. But a lot of them that don't make it could have a significant run before they fail. And all of this is could, but if we have a move, or maybe it comes up to 3 cents, and then later in time, months and years go by, it comes back into this range, and then boom, down it goes, as a possibility. And then if the dollar goes, and maybe just, and who knows how this is all going to play if, say, Bitcoin goes in major explosion mode. But then this against Bitcoin, and we're going to see just how bad it has been for this when you look at it on this level. Let's take a look at Bittrex, which has more data. And let's multiply it by 100 million, because then I can get a better look of the chart. Big difference there. So we got the low, we got the high, and I guess just for fun, I don't feel like calculating fib, because it's about a 50-ish, not quite percent retracement, and I don't think Fibonacci really means too much. I guess if it did fib level, it would come back to maybe 10 Satoshi here, if there was any breakdown, 9-10 Satoshi. And level of resistance here, maybe 160 coming next. The Fibonacci, that would be important, I think, if anything, would be this high to this low. So that one I don't mind calculating. So we got 1980 I can read in here as the highest level. Yeah. So we'll put 1980 in, and then whatever the low happened to be. And it looks like it's on this stamp here, which is 33. Anything going lower than that pretty much retests. What a big difference. 1980 down to 33. Key numbers. The next one is 87. Are we there yet? Let's just take a look at this on the daily. Nope. So the next key level of resistance, if this is going to go any higher, would be 87. Which coincides with what? Not much. Because it would be a Pierce. But you know, a Pierce extra, which it usually does coincide with this low, but always usually coincides with something. I'm not going to put these lines in, but if you want any of these numbers, there you go. If we're looking for any situation for upside, basically what I'm looking at is, well, I mean, it would actually be a larger number. Because what I'm looking at is this low to this high in the 61.8, which is again around, maybe around 13 or something. So I would do like this 1600 divided by 13, not 33. Therefore, we have a 25,000. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does break above this resistance, and the number would be higher, we'd be talking about 30, 40,000 Satoshi. I don't expect that. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.